What's up, everyone? Cardi-C, the baseball card collector. Very excited to come back to you after a brief hiatus. You might notice behind me that we're in a new location. My wife and I bought a house about a month ago, and that's why I haven't really been producing much in the way of content. But I'm very excited to get back to sharing my cards and thoughts with you all. We got 14 cards from Dustin Bellinger's group PSA submissions. He does a lot for the YouTube community in terms of PSA stuff, so I'll leave a link to his channel down below. We're going to talk about the cards I submitted, the players, and how their 2020 shortened season went while these cards were out at PSA, and then ultimately what I'm going to do with each of these cards. Do I keep them for the PC or do I sell them? If you enjoyed today's video, make sure to leave a comment below, give it a thumbs up, and subscribe for future content if you haven't already. But without further ado, let's flip the camera around and check out these grades. So during 2020, Topps partnered up with F1 for an exclusive trading card deal, and this is the first card that came out of that agreement. Topps Now Pierre Gasly 001. First card in the Topps Now F1 set. I picked up 5 copies of these because during COVID I became a fan of F1 racing. They have a TV deal with ESPN where every Sunday morning they'll air the races, and during COVID when there wasn't many other sports to watch, I picked it up. I talked to my brother-in-law, who's a big fan of Max Verstappen and Red Bull racing, and I just grew an appreciation for the sport. There's strategy, there's personalities, there's different tactics, there's sort of an essence of a global ambassadorship with the sport. So I was pretty quickly hooked. I think that the ESPN TV deal is going to go a long way to putting them really on the map in the US. And I think that Topps is ahead of the curve here with partnering up with them. They have a pretty big release coming out later this month, I believe, with Topps Dynasty Formula 1. And then at the end of the year or early next year, they're releasing hobby boxes of Topps Chrome. And I'm definitely going to try and get in and order or pre-order a couple of them. But without further ado, you came to see PSA submission results, and that's what we're going to give you. So first up, you're going to see a lot from this set, 2016 Bowman Draft, Dylan Carlson in a PSA 10. Now, Carlson is the number 1 Cardinals prospect. I thought when I sent this card out that he would not make his debut until 2021, but because of limited minor league play, really no minor league play, the Cardinals decided to put him on the alternative site, and then they ultimately called him up. Unfortunately, he didn't perform anything like a number 1 prospect. He had a very aggressive plate approach. He was striking out a lot and just taking some bad swings at pitches. Definitely not who he is as a batter. After probably a month in the majors, they sent him back to the alternative site. And I thought for sure it was a lost 2020 for Dylan Carlson. But some injuries on the major league squad and some sort of fatigue brought him back up. He spent a couple weeks at that alternative site refining his approach at the plate. And he has been a totally different player since then. He's been tearing the cover off the ball. In the 10 games since the call-up, he's been hitting .345 with a .394 on-base percentage, .759 slugging, 4 doubles, 2 home runs, 2 RBIs. So he's not going to sort of grade out at your Joey Gallo power scale, but he's definitely capable of 25-30 home runs a year. I'm very happy that Carlson was able to turn it around. We'll see what happens in the playoffs. This card might be moving during the playoffs. Otherwise, I'm hanging on to it until next spring training. Now, next up is a guy that isn't going to have a chance to redeem himself during the playoffs. It's Kieboom. Kieboom was a pretty big disappointment this year. as was the reigning World Series champions, the Nationals. They just couldn't get it together on pitching, and Kieboom couldn't get it together on offense. He had the opportunity to take hold of the third baseman's job, but he struggled defensively and he couldn't string it together on offense. Much like Carlson, he tried to be super aggressive at the plate. He was getting behind in counts. He was taking bad hacks, and he just couldn't string it together. His line for the year, 202 with a 344 on-base percentage, with 1 double, 17 walks, 33 strikeouts, no home runs. So third base is a power position, and it's definitely not something you want to see out of them. A PSA 9 is going for like $15 right now. Looking the card over, I definitely missed a spot on the front. I don't know if you can see it there to the left of the Bowman Chrome logo. So we'll see. I'm probably not going to move it for $15. I'll wait until he has a good string of games next year. But this is probably the most comical cards of the entire order. PSA 5. Yeah, let that sink in for a minute.
Oh, don't cry, are you?
A PSA 5 on a modern card that has not been chewed through by a dog. At the front, it looks like this card is in great condition. There's no surface issues. I think the centering actually looks better on the 5 than the 9. But ladies and gentlemen, this is why you review the front and the back of your cards. At first glance, it looks good, right? But you change the angle. If you can see at the K, there's a big crease right there. Now, personally, I don't think that crease alone would be enough to demote it to a 5. Because the card looks flawless to me otherwise. But if I had seen that, I definitely wouldn't have sent it in the first place. But we take every opportunity we can, every submission we have to learn. And one of the big takeaways for me was look at the back of the card before you submit it, dumbass. All right. Some more 2016 Bowman Draft. This time we have Nolan Jones. 2 cards here, a 10 and a 9. Now, Nolan Jones is another sort of unfortunate victim of no minor league season this year. And it's exacerbated by the Indians just playing so well at the positions that he might be able to fill in. Jose Ramirez, third baseman, has been playing at an MVP caliber level at second base, where you could potentially move Jose Ramirez over to. Cesar Hernandez has been the third most productive hitter on the Indians, so you're not moving Ramirez over to second to make room for Jones to kick out Hernandez. And then Franmil Reyes is an absolute offensive monster at DH. So Nolan Jones might be getting called up during the playoffs for like an off-the-bench power bat, but as of the recording of this video, he still hasn't made his debut. Take a look at the card. Just an excellent copy here. I couldn't tell between the 9 and the 10 really what was different. I think the 9 might be a little bit off-center, but there's probably a scratch or something I missed on there. This return has shown me that there's like such small differences between 9s and 10s. I definitely have a mental block as a collector. I always want the biggest and the best thing, so I gravitate towards the 10s. But if you put a 9 and a 10 in someone's hand and you block what the grade is, it's so hard to the naked eye to be able to tell the difference. So
I can't see the difference. Can you see the difference? No, I can't see the difference. Can you see the difference?
When we ask shoppers to tell the difference between
a PSA 9 and a PSA 10, they said,
I can't see the difference. Is there a difference?
price is the difference. Because with
PSA 9s,
you could save up to 20% And
Still get the cards for your collection that you want.
She can't see the difference. Can you see the difference? No, there's no difference.
why pay more?
Buy PSA 9s. What am I going to do with this Nolan Jones card? I'll keep an eye on if he gets called up during the playoffs. But I think this 10 is going for like $35 or $40 right now. And if he produces anything like his sort of rookie call-up counterparts, this is probably an $80 to $100 card. So we'll be hanging on to that, at least for the time being. Now, this next card, very excited with the grade. Very disappointed with the injury to Yordan Alvarez. He was a little late to making his debut because he was recovering from some type of injury. He got called up, hit a home run in his first game back, and then tore his right patellar tendon 1 game later. So I think he had 6 at-bats before he was shelved. This card had a high of $100 right around that call-up. He had a low of $45 right when people were getting this card back from PSA. It's currently at $50, so you don't want to be selling at the bottom of his market. Definitely a hold until next opening day, or just add it to the PC. He did win AL Rookie of the Year after all. Next up, 2013 Topps Update Christian Yelich. This got a 10. Just a perfect example of this card. Centering solid, corners sharp, surface perfect. Really happy that PSA recognized this as a 10. Unfortunately, Christian Yelich has also been playing pretty poorly this year. His power numbers are right around where we would expect them to be, but he's batting barely above 200. He's striking out nearly twice as often as he was last year. And I think he's just trying to do more than what the pitchers are giving him. So this card within the last year had a low of $76, a high of $322, and right now it's $170, $180. So I think this is going to be an add to the collection, but selling for this would pay the cost of the full PSA order. So now we have 7 cards from 2018 Bowman Draft, and they are all Alec Balmer. So out of the 7 that are here, there are 4 9s and 3 10s. So I picked these cards up raw from eBay. I got a lot of 20 for $12. Pretty cheap. This was back in the Cardi-C Learns to Flip series. I looked them over. 7 of them looked good and worthy for grading to me, so I sent them in. Right now, a PSA 10 is selling for $115, and a PSA 9 is selling for $35 to $40. So if this 10, $3 to $115 isn't Elite Co 3's water into wine category, I don't know what is. But one thing I did recognize with sort of how I looked the cards over prior to the submission was I didn't really have a reference point for centering on a lot of these cards. It was pretty apparent to me after the cards came in that like this 9 is off center top to bottom. Left to right looks good, but top to bottom isn't great. Now, what can I do to solve that problem? There's different people that will take rulers and they'll measure the sides if there's a border. There's other people that'll look at sort of graded 10 copies of the card online as reference points. There's little mats that you can put on top of the cards. I think they're like sewing mats that have grids on them so you can measure the grids. But I think what I'm going to try and do, especially in this scenario, like I submitted 7 Alec Balmers, I'm going to go ahead and in the future, if I'm putting a submission together like this, I'm going to grab a PSA 10 copy of it beforehand and then just take the card and lay it over to see what those borders look like. So here's the final breakdown. We had 7 10s, 6 9s, and 1 5. PSA, although they did take a very long time to turn this around, these cards got sent out on February 11th, processed March 16th, and then delivered on September 15th. I think they did a very fair job in their assessment of these cards, and I'm very happy with the outcome. I did learn a couple things as a submitter. You got to make sure to check the front, but also check the backs of all of your cards. Check the surface under different lighting at different angles. Check the edges, the corners, the whole kit and caboodle. That way you won't be flushing money down the drain. Let me know in the comments below what you think I should do for this card. Should I sell it for pennies on the dollar? Or do you think that I should keep it in the collection, display it loud and proud as a reminder of what you need to do to prepare for a PSA submission in the future? Another thing I learned was if you're going to be sending a lot of copies of a particular card or cards from a particular set, try your best to get a PSA 10 version from that card or from that set as sort of a reference item. You want to compare things like centering to something that had been graded out at a Gem Mint 10. That way you can identify which ones are going to be getting 9s and 10s based on centering in the future. And let me know what you think in the comments below about Topps' partnership with F1 and the exclusive contract that they signed. Very high on Topps F1, and very interested to see what you guys think as well. But that's all I got for you guys today. If you enjoyed today's video, make sure to give it a big thumbs up and subscribe for future content. Till next time, I'm Cardi-C, the baseball card collector. We'll catch you guys later.